Hi guys, this is Alex, CEO of PenPath, and in this video, I'm going to give you a quick introduction to the new UTM cheat sheet that you just downloaded, which has been a critical component of some of the success that we've seen at PenPath for our customers. I wish we could help you all one-on-one, but there's just not enough time in the day. This is going to be a very similar experience to the type of consulting and support we help our customers with for free. You're not paying an agency, you're not paying a consultant, you're not paying an expensive software tool. You can utilize it all today to take action and see results. So let's go ahead and jump into that Google Sheet and start acclimating you to how to navigate it. Make sure that you follow along in your own sheet. So the first is the Start Here tab. The first thing you see, this is going to have written instructions, this video, and more videos that we may add or link to. Pay attention to this last updated part of the sheet. If you want to come back to the more recent version, you're going to have to just take that quick survey one more time and it'll forward you to the most up-to-date sheet. And then again, we'll have it dated on when it was updated. These will have some written instructions and a quick table of contents of all of the tabs that are currently available. And you'll see also what to do now. The first thing is that you need to evolve this doc as needed. And so hopefully you've already started doing that. And you can reference the other instructions here on your own. Let's go ahead and jump into the next tab. The first tab is called the UTM parameter key. Think of this as a key in a map. You want to reference what things mean and what you're going to utilize. And so what we're trying to do here is explain all of the different components of a UTM, the medium, the source, campaign, content, term, and we're going to give you ideas that are a starting point, ideas of what you might want to put into these different pieces of a UTM. We're not going over what a UTM is on this tutorial, but there are other resources, like I said in those other videos, especially the webinar that I did. Definitely watch that if you're confused about any of these topics. What you see on each component is going to be the name and then the value that's in the UTM. So paid search is going to have the CPC value. Google is going to have the Google value. I would not suggest you change some of these. For example, Google standard, it's pretty standard that Google is always going to come through as CPC. Other ones might not be as standard. For example, paid social with Facebook. Now, we're showing here paid dash social. If you're using our platform, PenPath, all of this can be cleaned up and automated historically going forward. If you don't have a platform like PenPath, just be extra cautious because it's really difficult to clean this data up once it's already been dirty. So that's how you can read this whole chart. You're going to have the name and then whatever value is going to go into your UTM. Before we get into more ideas and how that's structured, I want to talk about the dynamic component of your key, right? So that's the maroon heading or section. You'll see most of these are gray. There's just one maroon for campaign, one maroon section for term, and one maroon section for content ideas. All this is the values that you put in your UTM that are going to be automatically populated. So these are pretty self-explanatory. If I put campaign name in my UTM for Facebook, it's going to pop out whatever I named my campaign. And so what I name my campaign in Facebook has a big impact on my UTMs. Naming my campaigns in a better way helps me with my UTMs and the tracking of the data. And so as you can imagine, why wouldn't you put a little bit of time into how you name things? Because it's going to just be saving you time down the road when you analyze that information. When you think about what you named, you're going to want ideas. You're going to want to know what are other people naming things and how does this guide help me with that? So I don't have this FOMO that I might not be adding everything that I would like to put in my tracking. Maybe you have a little bit of a blank page anxiety and you don't even know where to start. We've done a lot of research and made it comprehensive on this document to understand different things you may want to do. We've broken that out by categories. Each gray bar here represents a different category of what we've seen a lot of top e-com brands use. We have the campaign funnel stage, the customer lifecycle. If there's an agency or manager creating these campaigns, you can see who was doing the campaign, maybe the campaign type. This actually should say promotion type, flash sale, or whatever you want. Here's some more promotion types. And again, make this document what works for you. These aren't in any particular order, but you could maybe make it that the more important things that you want to use are at the top. Or if you ever use them, it has to be in the same order. If you're going to use this one, put it at the front of the UTM and then go all the way down the line. That might actually be a really cool way to keep things consistent. Again, all of these will have ideas that you can use or come up with your own. But the most important thing is creating a process to address some of those challenges that we mentioned earlier. The process of having a key where you're copy pasting things to build your UTM codes has been a very big success across all of our customers. So we recommend you also do that. Now, when it comes to UTMs, there's different things you're going to want to consider when you're creating the short code. I would recommend you look at all the tips we've left for you here at the top and follow those as best as possible. Some of those we've already mentioned. If you come up with your own for your team to reference, again, do that as well. So the next thing we're going to go over is the UTM Generator. The UTM Generator is where you're actually going to develop that UTM. You're going to look at your key, find the different pieces, short codes that you want. You're going to date it. You're going to put a description of what that campaign is for that you or your team would like to reference. And again, just start piling in the different short codes. So good best practice is to use underscores. And so again, these are just examples, but it's good to do underscores for between the different things, the different categories. So customer lifecycle, you would say new underscore JA underscore flash sale, and then dashes between words. You'll see that in the tips up here. Just make sure you follow those and you will be in good shape. Now, if you're creating a UTM for something that's external, maybe you're creating a webinar code for LinkedIn, or maybe you're creating a flyer, whatever that might be, where you need to actually add the more traditional form of a UTM where you have the link, you put the link here, and then it's going to create that UTM for you, or you just want to paste the UTM, you paste this. Just make sure you don't use 2 question marks to start it. This already generates that for you. Just make sure you don't reuse 2. Okay. As you develop more UTMs over time, this list is going to get longer. At that point, you might want to invert it and put the newest ones at the top. That's been a very successful tip for our customers. The next sheet in this guide is going to be a big reference table that's going to basically advance what we talked about with these maroon sections here. This is just going to be much more robust. You have a lot more examples here in this top section, and then we're going to break it down by ad type. Quick explainer is that if I'm running a shopping campaign, let's just say Google Shopping, you're not going to have all of the same UTM components that a search ad have, right? And vice versa. What we found in practice is knowing what is even possible to measure in a shopping campaign. Where is that information live? Where is it organized? I think a lot of people appreciate that we've kind of helped you think through that. Static ads versus dynamic ads and meta are going to allow for different things to be used. Product ID can't be used in a static ad. This is designed for e-com brands. You can see what a static ad might be missing that you're going to be able to integrate into your dynamic ad. The same thing, which is actually a lot more complicated for Google, they call it a ValueTrack. Thanks, Google. That's just another word for dynamic UTM. It's the thing that auto-populates. Here you have all of your different ad types in Google. I don't think a lot of e-com brands are going to use app campaigns. Had some of our customers definitely use them in the past, but not too common. You're obviously going to be using the shopping campaigns, maybe Performance Max and Search Network. For those, maybe you're going to want to add more data. Now, I want to specifically say that for Google, we added everything. Don't stress out. There's things that, you're not going to use here. I wouldn't worry about it. Now, we did also try to be as helpful as possible with a little description and an example. Think through that. We don't always use all of these, so I'm not 100% an expert in every little thing these platforms offer. You're going to have to do a little bit of digging, and that's why we have some of the links here that you can research yourself. A good rule of thumb is just keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate things. We've had customers that add so many different things that are UTMs, and they never go back and analyze it. Be practical about it. Check all the options that we did. Some things might be super relevant for you and not for others. That's why it's important to modify for your own needs. We'll be adding more platforms, but right now we have Pinterest as well. In that key section, we have links to Bing for using that. And then obviously all these other ones, we do have the dynamic macros. So you have the Pinterest, TikTok, Snapchat. Double check all of these as they do sometimes update. And even if the documentation says that it's a legitimate dynamic code, you have to test it because they still have a lot of bugs in each of the platforms. And so once it's working, it should be pretty good to go once you check it once or twice and put your own systems in place. I did add some examples here. Honestly, I'll probably add a lot more examples that are even a little bit better. But again, this is a great starting point to get ideas, and it's going to use a lot of the keys that we already had for you in the second tab. Okay, and then last but not least, it's just a different approach. Many may not use this last tab, but some will want to use this if you're a little bit more advanced and you want to create a matrix. So much like when you're shopping for windshield wipers or something for your car, it kind of asks you for make and model, and then it gives you fewer and fewer options. You can actually do that here if you want to get fancy with it. We kind of started it for you to do something like this. It's a little bit difficult to do in Google Sheets, so I didn't want to make this standard for the guide, but we have had customers who want something like this. So let's assume you have all your platforms and ad types. You can then put a little note here of what's the most granular type of data that ad type would have. You can put a description and then go all the way down the list with all those different categories that we mentioned, and if it's applicable or not for that specific ad type. So then you could say, I'm doing a shopping ad for Facebook. And then you could see here, okay, for that one, here's all the things that I could include and any notes that I want to have for myself. This could create a template that you could eventually build off of. And then again, much like when you're picking a car part, it filters it down for you. What are the things that you'd want to add? I'd love to add certain data to Google Shopping ads, but that's just not even available. If you look at that dynamic reference sheet, Google Shopping doesn't have everything. You see some of these X's. So that's why that matrix might be super helpful for some people. I'll give you one more example here. Maybe you're running Google Shopping ads and you want to think about retargeting. You may want to consider branded keywords as retargeting. So maybe you do want to use some retargeting short code for branded terms, and then you can group those with other retargeting. Again, have fun with it, evolve it, don't overthink it, and it should be a great start for you to have a more data-driven naming structure for your team. And I wish I could help you set up all one-on-one, but I think for now, this is a good start. Look for other videos we'll be adding that are going to be more focused on strategy. You are off to the races. I want to wish you a ton of luck, and let us know if you have any questions or get stuck at any point. We'll see you in the next video.